Hi, Grand Prairie Baptist Church. I want to talk to you about our rules and regulations that we're kind of going to do as we come back together on May 10th. Coming back together, when I first thought of this day as we had to start missing church, I naively thought we were all going to be just able to come back together and everything was going to be like it once was. But as we're learning, that's not the way. So that was kind of naive of me to think. So what we're going to have to do is slowly reopen things back up. So the guideline really that the governor has given us has been very loose, and mostly what he wants us to do is be responsible. The main guideline he's given us is to keep our social distancing. Of course, that's 6 feet apart. Now with that, he said, families can sit together in worship service, but don't sit by other people, to keep 6 feet away from you with everybody else. So with that, I've kind of gotten some guidelines for our church and worked with our deacons on this as well too, to try and figure out what that looks like for our church. And as I already said in one of our videos, that the first thing that means is on Sunday, May the 10th, we will not have Sunday school that Sunday. So I think we need to give ourselves some more weeks before we're ready to move into that. As guidelines kind of loosen up, I want to slowly come back, but I want to have worship service with you all. I'm not going to throw everything out, but we can slowly come back. So the first thing is we're going to have worship service, and that will be from 11 o'clock as normal, so our normal times for that. So when we come back to that, also some guidelines as when we come back, if you have any symptoms, please stay home. If you feel at all like you're becoming achy or sick, I just want you to have right now extra caution and just stay home. We want to keep other people safe that are coming, and we want to try and keep this disease, slow it down as much as we can from spreading. So we're trying to do that. So just stay home if you don't feel sick. The other thing is, if you don't feel safe coming back to church right now, maybe you're someone that's vulnerable and there's some extra fear that comes with that for you, I encourage you to stay home. In fact, what we're going to try and do to help you so that you still can maybe be a part, we are going to do our best and attempt to live stream the service on May the 10th so that you can see it. So we will have this video, we'll record. Now, I don't know what it'll look like. I don't know what it'll sound like. We're going to do a trial, I think, before we do that, just a little test run, just to see what the sound is like and see what we can do to make it the best that we can. But we're going to do a live stream so you can feel safe at home if you need to. Now, staying at home at church, I don't want this to be a permanent thing, because I believe we do need to gather together. But right now, I think the time is appropriate. If you don't feel safe, stay home. If you think it's safer for you to stay home, you're one of our high-risk people, I want you to stay home. And I want you to feel safe staying home, and you don't need to feel guilty right now staying home. There'll be a time when we get to come back together. We're going to slowly come back together, and you can slowly come back when you feel safe. So please stay home. Also, when we come back together, if you want to wear a mask, I encourage you to wear a mask. Now, wearing a mask, what it does do is it does not protect you from the virus. I think that's real important. That's the message that's being put out. Unless you have the N95 masks, which are pretty much impossible to find, unless you're in the medical field, you are not being protected from the virus. But wearing a mask does protect you from spreading the virus if you have it. So wear a mask if you feel safer wearing a mask. When you come in that Sunday, if you want to wear a mask, you wear a mask. And I hope as we do that we're understanding of other people as they wear masks and realize that they're doing it to try and protect you. It's not really protecting themselves, it's protecting you. So wear a mask if you have a mask and you want to wear a mask. Feel free to wear a mask and feel safe in doing that. We're going to do the 6 feet apart, which is really the best thing that we can do. But if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. So the other thing is, as we come to worship service, it's going to look a little different at first too. As I said, 6 feet of separation is key in us coming back together. I believe we can do that in our sanctuary. I think we can do that. Now, if we have a mass of people, maybe we need to open up some of those back rooms where they can sit and listen there. But with that 6 feet of separation, I think an important guideline there is just, we have pews. Our pews are close together if you're sitting in front or behind someone. What I ask you to do is put a pew in between you. I think that will be a good enough space to try and create that 6 feet of separation. So keep a pew in between you. If we need to, we could put some chairs in the back. I think that would create clogging problems if we did that. But we can try that if we need to on Sunday. We're going to figure this out as we go a little bit, but we want to have some guidelines. So have that 6 feet of separation. Keep 6 feet. 6 feet, if you don't know, go get your tape measure out and look at it. I'm about 5'11". I joke with my wife, if you want to know what it is, picture me laying down in between you. And that's about 6 feet. So 5'11", that's what I am. So not quite 6 feet, but that's getting pretty close. So just don't put your feet up against me if I'm just laying down and you're 6 feet. So that's 6 feet of separation. And so kind of get a guideline of what that is. Get a good picture of what that looks like in your mind as you come back, and try and keep that. And I know I work going back to work right now, and so we're around each other. What I find, it's easy for us as we start to talk long time, we start kind of getting closer and closer. There's just this magnetism that we have with each other that we draw closer and closer. Try and prevent that as best you can. So 6 feet of separation is key in this. We're not going to have a greeting time for right now. One day we'll bring that back, but right now, for the time being, maybe not even this year, we will not have a greeting time during our church. And even before and after church, let's refrain from shaking hands and embracing and hugs, and keep that 6 feet of separation. I think that's just what we're going to have to do for now. I think it's important for human beings to have interaction with each other and to have hugs and shaking hands. I think those are not just good things. I think they are necessary things for us. But right now, with this, I think we can delay. We can delay and be patient for when it comes back. The nursery. For right now, we're not going to have any nursery workers provided. I don't want to say that the nursery is closed, because what we're asking, because I understand, we have small kids. We have Levi, who's 2 years old, and he is at his peak. He is reaching peak 2-year-old right now. And so we know that's a struggle. So what we're going to say is the nursery is open. If you want to take your own kid back there and be with your own child, if you have been to our church service, you know that we have the sound going into the nursery, so you can hear the sermon back there. Also, we're going to be live streaming it. So if it gets crowded in the nursery, let's spread out. Use some other rooms that we have in our building, and you can use your phone and watch the live stream with where you're at. I know that makes it awkward and makes it like, why do I even want to come to church? But maybe it's just come to church, and even if you have to go back there, we at least get to see one another. And I think that's important, because we haven't seen one another in well over a month now. So come back together. I think it's going to be good if you feel safe. So doing that, I think, is important too. The other thing is children's moment. We have children's moments during our church services. We put in this year, really. I know we did in the past. We brought it back this year, and I've enjoyed them. So what we're going to do is we're going to have children's moment, but the kids are not going to come forward like we usually have them come forward. Stay in your seat, and she's going to come up, and we'll try and do it in a way that she can see. Shirley knows I've talked to her about this, so I'm sure she's planning it and figuring it out. We're going to do it from there, and she can come up and she can present up there where we can still see it. But right now, we're just not going to have the kids come forward. The other thing we thought about too is offering. Passing a plate, that puts our deacons in close proximity with whoever's on the aisles, and us passing the plate kind of puts us in, everybody gets closer together and kind of breaks that 6-foot barrier. So for right now, what we're going to do, instead of passing the offering plate and having that offering time, we're just going to put a way to give offering at the doors. So you can drop it off at the doors. So just drop it off at the doors. As you go in or come out, they'll be there, and you can drop them off at that time, your offering. So that's what we're going to do for right now for that. The other thing that I think about too, that I've thought about that kind of concerns me, and I haven't figured out a good way to resolve it, and I don't want to let people go row by row, is we always have kind of a clog at the doors as we're leaving. Usually we're fine coming in, but as we're leaving, a lot of times that's because I go by the door and I shake hands as you're going out. I'm not going to do that this Sunday. this on May 10th. I'm not going to do that. So we can wave and say hi to each other from the pews. If you're not ready to leave, sit in your pew and talk to people in your pew. Don't go to the door and talk to each other and create a clog. So we want people to be able to get out without getting clogged up as you go out. So when you're ready to go out. If you see there's a line, try and keep 6 feet of separation between one another. I don't feel like our government is trying to make us do this, but these are wise suggestions that they're giving us too. So I think we want to be wise, and as we come back together, we want to be a good example for the world that we are as Christians. We want to follow the rules. We want to obey and take care of other people. As a spiritual leader, I think it's important for me. I certainly am caring for the spiritual needs of the church, but I think it's also important and a charge for us to look after the physical needs of the church. And that's what we're doing. And so with each other, we're going to be responsible and try and take care of the needs for each other. So that's what we want to do. Coming back together, this is going to be a kind of an adjustment period as we come back together. It might be a little weird as we go through this. We're going to get back to normal one day. It may be a while before we get back to what church was back in January, February this year, even the beginning of March, before things just changed so dramatically and our world was flipped upside down by this virus. So as we come back together, I just I look forward to you. I know we're all very responsible adults. I know we're good Christians, and we're going to do the right thing as we come back together, and we're going to care for each other. So just as we come back together too, as you're watching this, I'm putting this out on Sunday, May the 3rd. As you're watching it today, this is the governor has asked this to be a but the state day of prayer. He's asked our state to be in prayer today. May 4th, our state is reopening. Now, reopening with limitations, but we're reopening nonetheless, and we're going to start moving around, and people are going to get back out. Restaurants will be open with looking at limited capacity maybe for some of them, but we're reopening for much of the state. Some counties are still going to be restricted for a little bit longer as they have some maybe a little bit more cases than what other counties have. So be in prayer for our state as we reopen. I think as they've told us that it's going to be devastating if we have to reclose it down. I know emotionally it'd be devastating for me. I would just be emotional if we start church up again and then we have to shut it down. It would just be emotionally devastating for many of us. We're going to make it through this time though, and we're going to be okay. And we want to limit how much sickness as much as we can. We certainly want to limit how much death. And really, above all, what we're trying to do is keep the healthcare system from being overran. When they're overran, they can't treat people. But whenever they can treat people and have better focus, then there's better chance of people being spared death from this. So if you all would just bow with me in a word of prayer. If you need to watch this over and over again to kind of get a sense of what we're doing, watch it over and over again. If you need to give me a call to get some clarifications, maybe some concerns that you have, please give me a call. Our cell phone's been in the bulletin since the beginning. Hopefully you got one laying around. I don't want to give it out on YouTube. Who knows who'd be calling me, but give me a call. If you don't know, call someone that you know, and they could give you my phone number. I know the deacons all have my phone number. So let's be wise as we come back together, and let's be good stewards and show love for one another and obedience to our governor, our government that's God's put over us, and do the right thing. Let's have a word of prayer. You pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you as we come back together. I pray for our church. I pray for our safety, Lord, as we come back together. Certainly keep us safe, Lord. It would be devastating to our church if someone got sick as we come back together. And Lord, I feel this is the right time to come back together, and I feel like we will keep each other safe as long as we kind of obey these guidelines that I've given, and Lord, look to them. God, you are our King, and we trust you. It's in your name I pray. Amen. As we come back together, I do want you to know I will have these kind of typed out, and you can pick up a copy of it and kind of look at it and think about it. If you need to give me a call, if you want me to email it to you ahead of time, give me a call and give me your email address. I don't have very many people's email address, so just give me that call and I'll email it to you, and we can have this available to you and have it posted as well. So I just hope everybody has a good week, and be in prayer as we prepare. Certainly be in prayer today, May 3rd, as we're putting this out. You be in prayer as well to pray for our state and the safety of our state and the safety of the members of our state, and really the nation as a whole. Just pray for us as we're all starting to get back out and get moving, and as we fight to get back to life as it was, normal life, and get back to a place where we can embrace one another again. And you all have a good day.